Alright, hello everyone. I and my mama are about to do some Sudoku puzzles. How are you doing, mama?
I'm doing all right. Glad my
Sounds
work
good.
week is almost done.
Yeah. My sleep problems have not resolved themselves. So I am still ridiculously tired. So hopefully that doesn't lead to similar mistakes from yesterday. But I will try my best, and that's why it's two of us doing Sudoku. So that way we can catch each other's mistakes. But I think without further ado, we hop over to Sudoku.
Yep.
Alright, transition over here. So we'd started this puzzle yesterday. Instructions unclear by Toolrack. Place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, column, and box. Digits within a cage must sum to the total in the top left corner of the cage. Digits along pink Renban lines form a set of consecutive, non-repeating digits in any order, and overlapping lines are part of the same Renban. We started it yesterday, but we were both very tired. And so we made a couple of mistakes. The one that I remember was, or the mistake that I made was the bottom right box had some, or box 9 had some property that didn't follow from the logic that I said. And that led to a bad conclusion, and then ended up with a mistake in the proof. And so we tried to go backwards, and we made it backwards, but then we just didn't make any progress because we were too tired. But the rules here are fair. Say again?
Too mushy brained.
Exactly. Now my brain's still mush, but how's your brain feeling, Mom?
I actually feel fairly awake right now.
Awesome. So hopefully with 1 1/2 brains we can get through this one. Alright. I'm going to read the rules again. Instructions unclear by Toolrack. Place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, column, and box. Digits within a cage must sum to the total in the top left corner of the cage, and digits along pink Renban lines form a set of consecutive, non-repeating digits in any order. Overlapping lines are a part of the same Renban. Alright, so with the Renban rules, that means that if I were to take a look at, say, this grouping of lines here, they're all the same set, which means these 4 digits have to be something like 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, they don't have to be in any particular order. There's no reason why this could be 5 and this could be 7, or couldn't be, rather, and that would also be a valid placement of the digits. Otherwise, I think all of the rules are fairly straightforward. So let us begin. The 1 and the 9 being on the Renban here, the Renban cross, means they end up having to be on one of the arrows. And 7, 1, 2, 4, 23, 6, 8, 9, 22, with 2 8s looking in, meaning that none of the digits in here can be an 8, are going to be 6, 7, 9, And then these two 2s, looking at the 8, means that this is 1, 3, 4. And the setup for this puzzle looks like it's leans heavily towards something called the Fistomathel ring. That ring describes the 16 digits, or 16 cells rather, that surround box 5. So if I were to highlight those, I am going to prove that these 16 cells must contain the exact same set of digits that are in these 4 corners. So that is the thing we are trying to prove. So what I want to do is I want to highlight the top 4, or excuse me, the 4 corner boxes. Let's highlight those in red. So that is 4 sets of the digits 1 through 9. And actually, hold on, before I do that, I want to start with only 2 of them, just because it'll be a little easier. So this is 2 sets of the digits 1 through 9. If I highlight these 2 columns, then these 2 sets contain the exact same digits, because the blue set, being 2 columns, is 2 sets of the digits 1 through 9. And the red set, being 2 boxes, is 2 sets of the digits 1 through 9. And so we know that there's 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, etc. in both groups. Simon from Cracking the Cryptic usually describes this as like having a red bag and a blue bag of Scrabble tiles, but instead of letters on those Scrabble tiles, you've got numbers. And so if I place the exact same digits in one bag of Scrabble tiles as in another bag of Scrabble tiles, then I can say that those 2 sets are equivalent. Now, if there is a digit in this group, let's say it is this one and it's a 6, it's in the blue set and it's in the red set. So if I open the blue bag of Scrabble tiles and I find the one that has a 6 on it, and I take that out and I toss it aside, and I go through the red bag and I find that 6 and I toss that aside, now we have the exact same digits in both bags again. Uh-oh, I'm getting some feedback. But we get the 6 is now removed from both sets, but now they're still the same, right? 1's 1 through 9 twice, except for 6. So we have 2 1s, 2 2s, but only 1 6. And that's the same in the other one, right? Now, we don't know for sure that this particular cell is a 6, but we do know that the Scrabble tile that corresponds to this cell is in both groups. So we can take this cell out. And that is true for any tile, any digit, any cell in grid that is highlighted both red and blue. And so I can take those out. Now, this is still true. We can still make similar conclusions if I do something, say, highlighting this bottom, these 2 bottom corners, and I highlight those red. And now I have added to the red group 2 more additional sets of the digits 1 through 9. Now, I can't say that red and blue are equivalent, but I can say that they are equivalent along with the addition of these additional things, but because these tiles are in both sets, and all I have done is add 2 additional sets of the digits 1 through 9. I know that I can remove these from both groups. Now, I also want to add 2 more sets of the digits 1 through 9 into the blue group. And again, if I have any doubly colored cells, I can remove them from both groups, right? So what I've done in total is for the blue group, I highlighted 4 sets of the digits 1 through 9. And in the red group, I highlighted 4 sets of the digits 1 through 9. And wherever they overlapped, I removed the overlaps. Now, you might notice that these corners in each box are blue. And that is because when you highlight a column and a row that overlaps, the crossing there is counted twice in the blue group, but it's only counted once in the red group because this was only highlighted through highlighting the box. And so that tile was in the blue group twice and removed once, but it was also removed once from the red group. And this maintains the equivalence. So hopefully that proof was easy enough to follow and makes logical sense. So anything I should have said differently about how that works, Mama?
No, I think that it worked all right.
Okay. So if anyone is confused, hopefully you can ask the right questions in the comments and I can clarify and future explanations will be improved. So what we know from the Fistmafel ring is that these sets of digits are in both the red group and the blue group. Something notice the Fistmafel ring again. So what I think I want to do is last time we tried solving this puzzle. I guess they were reversed, but in the red group, we know we have 1 1 in the 7, 1 1 in the 8, and I'm going to write down those 2 1s. I've got a 2 in the 7, 3 in the 8, and then I have 2 4s. I've got 2 6s, 1 in the 22, 1 in the 23, a 7 that's in the 22, an 8 that's in the 23, and a 9 that's shared between the 22. Or, well, I guess it's not shared, but a 9 that's in the 22 and another 9 that's in the 23, leaving us 4 question mark cells. Now, if we think about these arrows and the cross in the middle, these 4 points control what's allowed to be on the arrows that's on the Fistmafel ring. The 1 and the 9 here are going to place a 1 in the 9 somewhere in the inside of box 5 on the base of the arrow. So let's say that 1 ends up being here. That's going to place in this set of digits something that could be 2, 3, and 4, right? But those are the only possibilities. So knowing that this 1 has to go somewhere in box 5 in the corners, and that's going to force a 2, 3, 4 into the blue group, I know that 2, 3, and 4 is in blue group already. Similar logic is going to take this 9. I can't repeat it on the Renban that's the cross, but it's going to end up being on the corner. But going from 9, I end up having to place a 8, 7, and 6. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly like that, but those are the only options that follow from a 9. So knowing that, I have to have a 6, a 7, and an 8. Now I also already have this 1 and 9 that is on the cross in the blue group. So that's 1 and a 9. So that's a set of the digits 1 through 9 excluding 5, right? And so that's 8 of the 16 digits in the Fistomathel ring. And so from here I want to consider the fact that in the red group I had 2 9s and 2 1s. We know that one of those 1s and 9s already appears on the cross, but the other 1 and the other 9 is going to have to appear somewhere else around the Fistomathel ring. Let's say I place that 1 here. Well, because a 1 must be followed by 2, 3, and 4, that's going to end up being something like this. We know that there is going to be that group. Now, we wouldn't know for certain which of the 2, 3, or 4 ends up on the inside of box 5, and therefore wouldn't be on the Fistomathel ring, but because of the Renban cross here, where does this 4 have to go that is this 9-digit Renban that must include all of the digits? Well, this 4 must go either here or here, which ends up placing it on the Fistomathel ring. And so knowing that this 1 is here means that it would have to go something like this, something similar to this. And so that means that I can then place another set of digits, 1, 2, 3, and 4, into the group that is on the Fistomathel ring. So let's get rid of those. The other 9 does the exact same thing. So if I place that 9, say, here, I know that I would have to place an 8 somewhere, a 7 somewhere, and a 6 somewhere. Now this placing a 6 here means that it has to be on this cross, because we know that a 6 must appear on the cross. We know 6 isn't 1, it's not 9, and you can't repeat a digit inside of the box. So maybe that 6 ends up down there. But the important part is that it ends up on the Fistomathel ring, and because of this 9 that we know from the 2 corners, that we also get 6, 7, and 8. And so, from there, we know we have a second 6, a second 7, a second 8, and a second 9, and that is all 16 digits that I can place on the Fistomathel ring. So we know that there are 2 of every digit, and 0, except for 0 5s. So the other thing that follows from that is we had 4 question mark digits in the red group, and then these 4 corners. So in these 4 corners, what are these 4 remaining digits? Well, they're the digits that we didn't already duplicate. That's a 2, a 3, and 7, and an 8. Yeah, because we had 2 1s, but only 1 2. 1 3, but 2 4s. So we know that the low digits have to be 2 and 3. We had 2 6s and 2 9s, but only 1 7 and 1 8, so we have to duplicate the 7 and the 8 into here. Now this 7 and this 6, 7, 9 remove 7s from the uncaged corners, and because I have to have 2 7s in the red group, that 7 must be here. And then 6, 8, 9 means this isn't an 8. 1, 3, 4 means this isn't a 3. But this one isn't forced to be, doesn't have a digit removed from it. But this one does, because the 7 we were able to place in box 1. Now from here, these arrows, we know that they're either 1 through 4 or 6 through 9. So because of that, I want to switch my coloring from red group and blue group to being low digits and high digits. So hopefully that's not too confusing. But the reason I want to do that is so that it makes the logic involved in these arrows a little bit simpler. So I guess what I want to do is I want to start with, say, this one here. And let's assume that this one is high. If it's a high group, then it must contain 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, we've got two 8s looking at it, so the only spot an 8 can go is right here. However, what does that mean for, say, this box? Well, if I were to make this a high group, it must contain an 8. But I've got two 8s looking into that group, so that's impossible. If I wanted to place that high group over here, well, again, I've got two 8s looking into it. So that's, again, not possible. So if this one is high, then this one must be high down here. And that is going to end up placing these as low digits. However, I don't think that the logic there hasn't run into any problems. So I want to make sure that this assumption, I'm not following this for too long in case it ends up being correct. I don't want to try out all of the options. So let's go back to this top right corner and assume it is a low group. Now, if it's a low group, I don't necessarily have the exact same well, I do actually have a similar ability to place a 2 inside of that group because of this 2 and this 2, ruling it out of those. Now, I want to consider what does this being a low group mean for this corner? Well, if I were to try and make this a low group, well, we've got two 2s, so that doesn't work. If I try to make this one a low group, the logic isn't the same because I could place a second 2 into this group just fine in one of these two positions. Actually, it wouldn't be able to be in this one, but I haven't covered the logic that applies to that yet. However, we know that this group must contain a 1, and this group must contain a 1, and there's a 1 here. Well, that means that in 2 rows, I would have 3 1s, but that's not allowed. I must place only 2 1s in 2 rows. So this cannot be low either. And so we end up with the pattern being the corners. This group is low, then this group is low, and then that would place this group and this group as being high. So all that we've done is show that the high and low groups are in opposite corners. We can't duplicate them in one side this way. Like, it's not possible to make both of these low, because of if those were both low, then these would both be high, and then these can't both be high, and all of the other logic from that follows. So, the fact that there are 2 8s here and 2 2s is interesting, and so I want to consider what that means for these two groups. We know that in these two groups, that one of them is high and one of them is low. So I want to consider where can I place the 8s and the 2s. Now I have the conflict checker on, so we can see that in here, this 8 rules it out of this whole column. This 2 rules the 2 out of this column, so we can remove those. And then these 2 that are in box 6, well, they're canceled out by this 2-8 pair there. So we know that one of these is high and one of them is low. We don't know which one is which yet, but we know that the corners here must be 2 or 8. Now from here, box 9, these 4 digits must be 5, 6, 7, and 9, whereas this one isn't 7 or 9, and that one's not a 9. But then from here, I'm not sure exactly where to go. Most of that logic was from the first attempt yesterday. So we know that we've got a 2-8 pair here. I know that I can't place a 5 around the Fistomathel ring, so my 5 ends up being here or there. I don't know if that... Oh, I guess I mentioned something about 2s in the center box. This 2, looking at the cross here, means that there isn't a 2 here, but it must be on the cross up, going up and down. But we know that 2 isn't 1, and then this 2 removes it from there, meaning 2 has to be one of these 2.
And the 7 on the cross piece, on the horizontal.
Right. Although it is not as forcing, because it
can be on the Fistomathel instead of in the center.
Right. I guess from here, what I want to do is look at these 4 corners and ask, what can they be? We know that one of them's going to be a 1, one of them's going to be a 9. For the low digits, it must be 3 or 4. And that is true for these. The low digit between these 2 must be 3 or 4. Now, the high digits can be 6, 7, or 8. And we can remove 8s from these, where the 8s here look at. But that just means that we can have 6, 7, or 8 here on the outside, although this one is not a 7. If I were to make this corner a 3, then that would place 1, 2, and 4 up here, but that doesn't work for this digit, the arrow tips. That's not a 3. This one here, we already knew it couldn't be a 2. This one can't be a 7, because it would place 6, 8, 9 here, which would clash with that. And this one, well, we already know it can't be an 8. I guess following the logic here, what could this digit be if it was high or low? I guess specifically I want to think about the high digits. 6, 7, 8, 9. Clearly it can't be 8 or 9. And then if this one was a high digit, it would again be 6 or 7. If it were low, it would be 1, 3, or 4. And these would be 1, 3, 4, although the top one's not a 1. And 6, 7, 8, 9, neither could be 8. And in fact, we already talked about that, and this one's not a 7. Toolrack is saying, where does 1 in box 3 go? So from up here, we know that the 1 isn't in box 3 on the bottom half, and the top right corner, it's not there. So we know that 1 has to be one of these two, which would remove a 1 from both of these positions, which means that if this group is low, the only place a 1 goes is here. So that would take out 3 and 4. Is there similar logic we can do? I guess there's the same logic here for the 9 that applies into box 9. We know a 9 has to be here, so that rules it out of this one. And so the high digit, 9 must be here, so that would take 6 and 7 out. This having to be a 6 means that would have to be a 7.
Well, looking at column 7, since one of those arrow tips has to be a 2 and the other one has to be an 8, we know that. So 1 is going to be the 5, 6, and 7 there in the bottom of that column pairs with the 6 or 7 in box 4. So the 1, 2, the 1, 3, 4 is going to be in the top.
But we don't know which.
Right, whether it's the 3
4.
or the 4.
Okay. Could I continue the 9 logic here? That forced a 9 there, although, I mean, I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. This one's not 2 or 7. These wouldn't be able to be 9. This feels a bit too chaotic.
Okay, in box 3, where does the 5 go? It's going to be one of those two.
Right. Which is
And
going to
in
make
box
6.
Yeah.
Well, it can't be on the fist
Can't
of
put a
the
5 there. So So on column 7, the 5 has to be in the bottom row. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to wrap around, because we know that the 5s in the corner boxes have to be like this. So knowing that this is where the 5s is, it's taken out of this. This one aims down here. This one aims over there. And we get 5s being like that. This 5 places this 5, which, I mean, I guess I might as well paint these. What can this digit be? 6, 7, and 9 are high digits. And we know that one of these two groups is going to have to be high digits. So either these two or those two are high. With that, this 5 means that whatever this is, and actually whatever this is, they must both be low. So that rules 6 and 8 out of there. And because this is low, that means this one must be high, ruling 3 and 4 out. I don't have another 5 to be able to do anything with that, I don't think. Because if this one ended up being low, then I have a high digit and a low digit. Yeah, and I wouldn't be able to say... Oh wait, yes I would. This being... I don't even need to ask what this might be. I've got 3 possibilities, or 3 digits left, and I know exactly what the composition of their highness and lowness is. There are 2 low digits here and 1 high digit. Now maybe the maybe this corner is high, maybe it's low, it doesn't really matter. But I know that these two, there is 2, I guess here. I know in this group there must be 1 high digit. Let's say it's here. That would mean this is a high digit, and that's a high digit. And then these 2 would be low, so this 5 would pair with a high digit. If this was low, then that's low, another one of these is low, and I get a high digit here. That's a high digit. Those are 2 high digits, and that would be a 5 with a low digit. Never mind, that does matter. What's in the corner here? I guess I can make this green, that green, this purple, and this purple. I know that whatever this is... Oh no, I don't know that. Because if this was high, then this is 2 purple. But if it was low, it's 1 of each. But, I said if this was low, that's low, I need 1 more low digit. Then that's only 3 low digits, and it's up there. So this would be a 5 green. If this was high, that's high, that's high. I can't put another high digit in here. And I can't put a high digit there. So that ends up being 5 and green. But these two are low. And either these two or these... this is already 5 and high. That's low. One of these has to be low. Which, okay, that's 5 and a low digit. Is it 5 and a low digit? No, I don't think I can say that's 5 and a low digit. I mean, if it's 5 and a high digit, that means this is a 5 and that's an 8. But if this was 2, I mean, you could place 3 there and 1 4 there, and that would be 3. This is green. That's purple. But we know that because this is purple and this is green, one of those is blue. So these are both high then? Because where's the fourth low digit in this group? That's 1, 2, and 3. And either green or purple is low, which would be the fourth. Which means that these two have to be high digits. I guess the other way of thinking about it is that this group contains one high digit only. And then these have to be the other 3. But now I have 4 high digits here, and so this has to be 5 and low. And then whatever this is, it's purple. If this was high, then that's low. And if this is low, it pairs with that one to make this one green. Although I guess that was already proven by the 2-8 pair there. Because 2 and 8 aren't in the same set.
Right.
I wonder if I should just start doing superscripts for the 2 different sets. In fact, I'm going to just do that. So if this was low, then that's a 2. Which is 3, 4, 3, 4, and 1. And then if this one's low, then this one ends up being high. So that's an 8, a 7, a 6, and a 9. 9, 7, 8, and 6. That would mean this is low, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Neither of those could be 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Those aren't ones, that's not a 2. And
well, the point of the arrow would have to be the 3 on that one.
Right.
Because 1, 2, 4.
Neither none of those are 8. That's not 7, but since none of those are 8, this isn't 6 or 9. Okay. This is a 9, so that's not. That's a 1, so that's not. This would be 7, 9. Six and 8 is removed, so that would be a 7, so that couldn't be a 7. Which would take 7s out of those. So this would be 5 or 6, and this would be, well, 5 or 6. But 6s would be removed, and 5 would be removed. So this wouldn't be a 7, that wouldn't, neither of those would be 6. Three, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, not a 2. Six, 7, 8, 9. It's not a 7 for sure, but one of these two has to be an 8. So that makes this 3, 5, 8. Or this isn't.
Yeah, either way, those three at the top of column 3 are 3, 5, and 8.
Mm-hmm.
Which
but
takes
this. Oh.
Which takes 3s and 8s out from the rest of those,
Right.
wherever they
8
are.
And 3. These have to be 6 and 9 in either case, so this wouldn't be able to be 6, and this wouldn't be able to be 9, meaning this has to be 1 or 9, meaning that couldn't be 9. And a 6-8 pair means that would be 9. 6, 7, it couldn't be 7, so that would be 6. But this wouldn't be 9, so neither of those would be 7s. That would be 6. That couldn't be a 6. I think some of that followed through from that earlier. But we know that this has to be 5 or low. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's not 1, and that one's not a 2. And then 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 3. We know that this is 3, 5, 8. So what can these be? 3, 5, 8, 6, 9, 7, and 2. Well, this one has to be low regardless. Guess this couldn't be a 7 in that version. But knowing that this is low, if that's low, then this wouldn't be 1 or 4. It would have to be a 7, which would take that out, and this ends up being a 6 in both instances.
Yay, we have progress, sort of.
Which means that this one cannot be an 8, because there's no longer another place to place 8 in here. So 8's out, 6 is out. Which this already took the 6 out, but I didn't notice that earlier. I already have all of the high digits in this column. So here
is lower 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not a 2.
The center digit of box 6 is either low or 5. Because 7 has to go, there's an 8 and 9 in the box that sees 6, and 7 has to go on that horizontal of the...
Right.
Yeah, so that's lower 5.
Um, 2, 3, 8 wouldn't be able to be 2 or 3. So that wouldn't be an 8. Oh, this in the superscript version means that's a 2, so that wouldn't be a 2. Three, 5, and that would be 8. So now I take out 3 and 5. If this was low, or I guess, well, if this is low, then I have all of the low digits, and that would be 5 or high. But if that's a 7, then this is 5 or 6. No, I don't know if that means anything. But I guess in the superscript we would have, or not superscript, the center script. 1, 3, 4 is out, 2 is out, 7 is out. It would be 5, 6, 8, 9. But in superscript version, I know that 7 and 2 is obviously out. I just can't make conclusions from that. And I don't want to put too much of a mess in it. I know that it probably looks super messy. I'm probably missing something obvious. Where does 6 go in this box? It's not on the bottom because of the 6-9 pair here. 6 isn't 8. This has to be the superscript 6, and this has to be the center script 6, so one of those is 6, so it's neither of those two. Alright, time to look at comments. Where's 7 in row 4? Well, there's already a 7 in one of these two positions. But row 4, one of these days I'll learn to count. I know 7 isn't 5. This 7 removes it from here. We've shown that it can't be either of those, because if this purple group here is 7, the 7 ends up here. Same with this one. This 7 rules it out of here. And now if this is the high group, that's a 9, that's a 6, and that's an 8. And so 7 has to be here, which shows that this group is now low, which makes this low, and that one low, and actually I can just simply remove all of the superscripts. So that is 2, 8, 8, 7, 6, 9, 6, 7, 9, 8, not an 8,
and
8,
green
5,
is now red.
Right. Green becomes red, except for this one. That was a 5. That's a 5, so this one isn't red. 7. Not 7. 3. And what's left over here? 1, 2, 3, and 4, where this one isn't a 1. Those are all high digits, so this is 1, 3, 4, or 5.
The Fistamafel ring, there's a 3-4 pair. There's already two 3s. There's a 3-4 pair. Oh no, because those could both be 4s. Never mind. Oh.
Right, that makes sense. One, 3, 4, 5.
Where's the second 2? Okay, the second 2 is up there.
We know that this is a 1, 3, 4, 5 quad, so the rest of it 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. These two aren't 7s, so they're a 2-8 pair, placing a 7 here. Which makes this low. 1, 3, 4. Because that can't be a 2, which means one of those two is a 2, and that's not. But these are low digits. One and 4 is a
Row
low
9
digit.
has all 4. Yeah. So that's
So
high
we
in
have
5.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's not 7, it's not 8, and this one isn't a 6. Oh, I don't want to do that. I guess I just don't want to paint the multiple colors at the moment.
Okay, that's fine.
Where's 6 in this column? It's not 8, it's not 7, it's not 9. That can't be a 6 because of that, and I guess this. Those are low. Is there a reason this can't be 6? I'm not sure, but what can these be? 8, 7, 9.
If that one is 6, if that's 6, those are 5. Yeah, nope, no reason it can't be 6.
Yeah.
Because that's 6, 8, and those would be 5, 9.
8, 7, 9, 2, 6. Mm-hmm. 6, 9.
Oh, well, row 6, the 5 has to be in box 6.
Right, so that's not a 5, which makes it low.
It means the 5, well, we already see that the 5 has to be on the purple thingy in box 5 center. Yeah. Okay, the brain is right. Uh-huh.
5, 6, 7, 9, and not 2.
7 can be placed in box 5 now.
It had to be here. Because we've got 4 7s looking in. 9 in this column. No impact, no idea. But what can this digit be? It's not 8, 7, or 2, and it's not 5 or 6. And fill in the rest of those. 1, 7, 8. 5, and these two aren't 6s. Okay, so there's lots of possibilities for stuff up here. This 2, 8 feels relevant. I mean, I would say the 2 and 3 here would be important. We know those are different. But the only things those see in common are the 7 and the 8 that was in the other part of the Vistamethel run.
Right.
Oh, 6-9 pair places a 7. Which I think was just
Oh, I
simply the
thought we
last
had all
7
the
in the grid.
sevens. It was, yeah.
One has to be one of these two, which takes it out of these two. If this was a 3, can that be a 3? No. The reason because if this is a 3, then this digit is whatever this corner is that's not a 1. And if that's a 3, then that makes that a 1 or a 4. And that's a 1 or a 4, so that wouldn't be able to be a 3. If this is a 4, can that be a 4? I mean, that would make that 1 and that 4, which would be 2 and 1. But I don't think that's a problem. Row 6, column 6, reflected into box 6 has a weird value. Row 6, column 6, this one, reflected
That would
into
be the
box
center
6.
digit of box 6.
I'm not sure what you mean by it has a weird value. Row 6, column 6. Yes, my brain's picking out the right one. Reflected into box 6 is a weird value. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. The 3 sees a lot of cells that would be determined. So what you're saying is if these were both 3s, I mean, that makes that a 2, that a 3. And then I would ask, where does 3 go in here? Well, it's not there. We are assuming this is a 3, that's a 3, which places the 3, because that couldn't be a 3 anymore. And so that removes it
Which
from there
eliminates
and
3
there.
from box 4.
Okay. Which means that these two can't be 3. Although, to be honest, I'm not sure how I was supposed to see that without it being pointed out. Like, is that, like, supposed to be the next step in the logic here? Like, I know I'm tired, but... Because it would have to be one of these two. I don't know. Knowing that those have to be different and that sees there, but I mean, there was 3 possibilities. I don't know. But I guess what that means is that this becomes a 1-4 pair, which forces a 4 here, and then that has impacts on possibilities.
Oh, well, oh, nope, 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 nope.
Okay. Four has to be one of these two now, which takes four out of those two. Three, one, two. These two are different. I mean, I guess, does two have impacts in places? If I knew that this was a two? I mean, that would place the two here, which makes that a three and that a two. Might be a bad step. I thought the solver would wonder whether the middle is 1 3 or 1 4 pair, and only one cell had the 3 as an option. So I thought that would make it a bit obvious to check whether row 6, column 6 can be a 3, but you're right, probably a weird step. My apologies. I'm not saying that it's necessarily a weird or bad step, just simply that
We're not
I
seeing a lot
find
right
it.
now.
Well, that particular step, that would be something that I'd be staring at the puzzle for hours for, and something that I would consider the making the puzzle a very hard puzzle, like if that is the intentional step, then to me that is a very hard step, which isn't anything about weird or bad or anything like that. Just very difficult. And you said that your puzzles tend to be on the easier side, if I remember correctly. But that's fine. So
Well,
I
and
do
we are
appreciate
missing a lot right now. We pretty much had to be hand-fed the 7 in row 4.
Yeah. We are tired, but I think even if I wasn't tired, I would still find that to be a bit difficult. But oh, I've got twos up here that aren't supposed to be.
No.
Because one of the things that, like, with difficult puzzles is, at least for me, I have a hard time determining how much of it is like me missing the logic that's pointing me in the right direction, and how much of it is that it just requires combing through to find it. And I guess, like, the more that it requires, like, I need to look at the whole grid to, like, comb through and find the logic, that to me makes the puzzle more difficult. And that's like the thing, like when it comes to difficulty, it doesn't necessarily make the puzzle anything I would consider like a bad puzzle or anything like that. That may like lessen my enjoyment when it's like that, but I don't know if I can necessarily make claims outside of my own personal experience. Because, I mean, there's nothing wrong with making that step, because if that's something that I mean, if it's logic that somebody sees, then like there's nothing wrong with it. I don't know. Like I guess I have the only like when it comes to like Logic Masters Germany and trying to decide like whether or not the puzzle was nice versus not very nice, like that's the question I have a lot more difficulty with than the difficulty question, because like a puzzle could be very easy and then I wouldn't enjoy it if it's like the logic is essentially given in all of the steps. Like if it basically like if you filled the grid with 1 square cages, it would technically be a very easy puzzle, but I don't know if it would be enjoyable to solve. But just because a puzzle requires combing through, one other that is on the more Tolrock said, I think this is my only 4-star Sudoku, and I have one other that is on the more difficult side. Everything else should be smooth sailing. So I just picked the wrong puzzle. I think I just picked this because this was your most recent one. You posted it, if I remember correctly, on the 20th. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully once we get through this one, we'll figure out, or we'll tackle all of the other easier ones and be a lot. I guess I don't want to say be a lot happier, because it's not as if I'm unhappy looking through the logic here. I guess the thing that I'm unhappy about is that I'm just sort of like blankly staring at the screen, and like if I were to ever eventually start posting the puzzles individually, which is something I've been wanting to do, but haven't taken the time to actually do the video editing, then it would be I guess boring to watch, because I feel like Simon and Mark do a lot better job of not having as much dead air. Yeah. 4 in box 7. Well, it does have to be one of these two, which is going to take it off of that.
Oh yeah. And I was just staring at column 3. It's like there's got to be something.
Which means 4s now has to be here in column 4, which takes 4s out of those two. I don't know. Anyway, 4 in box 7, and similar Sudoku can be done now. Just check rows, columns, and boxes. Okay. All right. I guess in that instance, I want to ask where can all the ones go? Try and be systematic as I loop around the grid.
You missed a possible for 1 in box 8.
8, 1 there. All right. Do I see anything interesting from there? No. All right. 2s then. So those 2 can be 2. Those 3 can be 2. 2's one of these. 2's one of those. There. There. Threes. Well, according to the bottom row, 3 has to be out
That
of
one
this
can't
one.
be 3. Yeah. I was going to say whatever that one is also the 1 4 that's in box 7
Mhm.
in row 9.
Fours. Somehow I missed box 2. 4's there, 4's there. That's a 4. 4's in there. Fives. Six. Sixes. Here. Those 2. Sevens are done. 8s are not close yet. No, they're fairly close. Oh, column 1. Only place an 8 can go is here. 6-9 pair. I don't think that has any impact. Nines. Here and in there. But yeah, so like the thing about like filling dead air, like that's kind of like the thing that if I ever start posting them as individual puzzles, is the thing that I'm like concerned about. I guess it doesn't really matter because it's not as if YouTube is it's not like I'm trying to make money off of YouTube at the moment. So not every video needs to be a banger.
Okay, I can't follow the track, but I think it breaks if in box 2, cell 7.
Box 2, cell 7.
If that's a 2, and you probably have to superscript it to follow, then in box 3, the 2 is in the center.
That
And that
place a
becomes
2
so
here.
it's
So 2 places 2 places 2 2.
right, and the 2 in box 3 makes that a 4 5 on the bottom, so it's 1 3. So the 4 is in cell 7. Okay, so those that's where I was losing the thread. I kept losing the follow as I went through.
5 6 4, I think. It's got 3 5 and 6, yeah. Which is gonna be, well, this is a 1 3 pair. But this being a 4 means that's a 4 and a 1. And that clashes, I think.
Okay, because I thought it did, but I kept losing the thread.
Mm-hmm.
I
All right.
couldn't place where it broke.
Just to double check, if this is a 2, then this is a 1 and a 4. This being a 2, over here, places a 2 here. Because where can 2 go in here? It's not red. This 2 rules it out of those, and assuming this is a 2, forces it here. Which gives us a 2 here.
The 4 5 in box 3 now makes that 1 3, which makes that one 4.
And this being a 4, and that being a 4 means that's a 1 and a 3, making this a 1. Continuing from here, this ends up being a 1. This being a 3 makes that a 5. This being a 3 makes that a 6. Leaving a 4 as a possibility. 2 and 4 makes that a 1, and I end up with 2 1s in column 1. So this is not a 2. It's a 4, a 1, a 2. 1, 2, 8, 2, 3, 5, 4, 3, 1, 1. 8, 4, 3, 1, 3, 1, not ones. 4, 1, 5, 2, 3, 2. That ends up being a 3, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 6, 9, 5, 2, 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 9, 3, 6, 5, 6, 9. Said in the wrong order, but that's fine, it doesn't matter. And complete! We made it! Yeah. I think solution code was row 9. Should still be up, I guess. 894562713. And blam! Solution code. And congratulations! That's very hard. And I think, unfortunately, I don't think I can give very nice. I guess I have a bit of a trouble finding the difference between nice and average, because like I still enjoyed the puzzle. I guess there's a part of me that dislikes the fact that the ending that we got to was from picking something and saying, okay, does this work, rather than the logic leading there per se. But I mean, it's logic either way. It's just whether or not I particularly enjoy that. I guess what would you pick here, Mama?
Um, I mean, I liked it,
Hmm.
even though it was really hard, and
Yeah. So I think,
yeah, very hard doesn't necessarily take away that it's very nice, but
yeah.
you, but yeah, it either we simply weren't seeing the logic because it just came down to brute force, um, of picking one and saying, okay, does this break?
Hmm. Yeah. All
So
right.
yeah, I would go with nice.
So yeah, that was instructions unclear by Tolrak. Yeah, that was messy. Sorry about this. I thought it was a bit smoother. Whether or not it was smoother, I guess that's a like matter of um because like everyone's gonna see through the logic in different ways. And just because we had a rough time with it, especially because we're tired, so like um it's not necessarily um that it was um like I think even if you weren't here, we would have gotten through it. It might have taken us a third day, but I think we would have powered through, and eventually found the stuff. I think we still would have rated it as very hard. I mean, especially if it's taking us 3 days. But I don't know. It does depend on the it depends on, I guess, how willing the solver is to do the whole okay, let me take this cell and just say, okay, if this is a 2, what happens? And then finding that it breaks. I don't particularly like doing that too often. But that's a personal preference. That doesn't mean that it's like, um, I guess maybe problematic, in
Yeah, I don't
a
think it
sense
makes it
of,
problematic. Just
yeah. I think it's just simply like, I just want to say that it's a personal preference that I don't enjoy solving the puzzles that way. That doesn't mean that it's like, I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, um, I guess it just depends on whether or not, like, if uh like I wouldn't even necessarily even try to like aim for, like, it's just whether or not like that's like a step that you want to um like have as part of the solve logic for the puzzles that is set. and whether or not, like, maybe there are ways to, like, highlight it a little bit more so that, like, for, I guess solvers like me, that don't enjoy that particular step, that it would be a little, at least a little easier to see and feel like I was led there a little bit and didn't just randomly pick the right one and follow it through long enough. But yeah. Anyway, you said, yeah, that was messy. Sorry about this. I thought it was a bit smoother. That's fine. You can try my first one if you want a change of pace. We'll probably try that. I don't know. How much is your brain, Mama?
It fluctuates. I suddenly felt like it got like a surge of energy when I started eating M&Ms.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
think the peanut butter in them.
We've got about 20 minutes, so I mean, we can at least give it a start. If it takes us 2 days, sometimes it takes 2 days. Although it's my most popular one, so maybe you've already solved it. I think, I mean, it's possible we've solved multiple of your puzzles, but I wouldn't have put it in Logic Masters Germany already, so I can definitely take a look at it. I don't know, like, it's possible. Like, most of the puzzles we get, I was getting from Cracking the Cryptic and solving the puzzles that they've solved. So it depends on whether or not it was featured there. Or I guess if it was featured there, then it would be a higher probability that we've solved it already. But yeah, yeah, that's all right. I wouldn't give it very nice. I mean, some of the steps were too hidden. You basically needed to get lucky to spot them or spend a long time checking everything. Definitely a learning opportunity for me. 20 minutes is more than enough. So, yeah, all right. So let's go in here. Publish puzzles. Oops, this is Rockrat0, who stopped by and left a comment. I am going to grab Tolrax puzzles. Page 1, so this is pi v squared snake. Is that your first one? And then 91%. It was featured on Cracking the Cryptic. So we might have solved this one.
That's all right.
Depends on whether or not it was the same link. Oh yeah, with this being a short video, we probably solved it. Yeah, we've solved this one. I don't particularly remember the solution path, but we did solve this one already. So maybe now that doesn't mean it was on stream, but let's see. Is there another one that's Mini Fog says, oh, then you can do Pie Snake in the Fog, which is the sequel, although it takes a bit longer. I don't know. Sure, let's try that one.
Sure.
If you like this one, try others. Featured in the following videos. Alright, this one wasn't on Cracking the Cryptic, so I don't think we've solved this one. Alright, so Pi Snake in the Fog by Toolrack. Pi is equal to this number. Normal Sudoku rules apply. The grid is partially covered in fog. Placing correct digits will clear the fog from surrounding cells. Color 25 orthogonally connected cells to create a 25 cells long, 1 cell wide snake that doesn't branch or touch itself orthogonally. The snake contains the first 25 digits of pi in the correct order given above. Digits in cells separated by v sum to 5. Digits in cells separated by an x sum to 10. Digits in cells separated by a white dot are consecutive. No negative constraints apply. All given white dots and XV clues are fully on the snake. Digits may not repeat on the negative diagonal, and digits in the cage may not repeat and sum to the total given. Alright. So there's a lot of rules, but they're straightforward enough. I think the most complicated ones are the stuff with the... Say again?
And they're familiar ones, so...
Yeah. So like this x here, they sum to 10, so that would be something like a 2 and an 8, or a 3 and a 7. I would put the digits actually in to demonstrate, but then that would give me information about whether it's right or wrong. But what we know is that the XV clues are fully on the snake. So this is a snake, so green.
Green? That looks red to me.
My brain is not working effectively. I think usually with snake puzzles, I make the non-snake green. But anywho. But knowing that this is on the snake, color 25 orthogonally connected cells to create 25 cells long, 1 cell wide snake. So we comb through pi and decide if there are adjacent digits in there that sum to 10.
There's a 4, 6.
Yeah, and that looks like
4, 6 in one direction or the other.
And then it's either a 2, a 3, or an 8 that connects to those. First 25 digits of pi in the correct order. May not repeat on the negative diagonal. Four, 6, 2, 4 is a 5-cell palindrome. Not sure if that helps. Okay. So what that means is that 4 and 6 is going to have to be on here somewhere. The 6 must be connected to a 2, and then that must connect to another 6. So let's imagine that this was the 6. Somewhere, I have to connect a 2 to it. Let's say it was this one. Well, I would have to connect another 6 to that, but these options are in the same box, so that doesn't work. Let's say it was here. Well, these two places are another 6, or would then be the 6, and then that would be the 6. But these two are in the same box, and that's in the same column, and the same logic applies here. So this cannot be a 6, because it would need to connect to a 2, which makes that a 4 and a 6. And we get an X here, and a consecutive pair. And now we know that this needs to connect to a 2. But the snake is here, so one of these two must be the 2. And then one of these two must be snake. But in either case...
Wouldn't the X there have to be a 6? Because it connects back after the 2?
Right. 6, 4.
4, 6, 2, 6.
Yeah. I think doing this is going to be confusing. So, whichever one of these is the end, well, we know that this one's not the end. So there's a 3 that surrounds this 4 that is the end of the snake. So then this 4 connects to there, and it's an 8 in one of those positions, but after the 8 is a 3, and a 2, and another 3, which is going to be in one of these positions. This 3 sees that, so that's not the end of the snake. That doesn't branch or touch itself orthogonally, but diagonally is fine. 4, 6, 8, 3, 2, 3. And then I need a 9. Well, if this was the 3, it can't go this way, so then the 9 would be there. If this was the 3, I mean, it could technically go in either of these positions and be a 9. But one of these has to be a 3. So how could this be the 3? That's the end of the snake. And so this cannot be the 2. So that's the 2 that connects the 6s. This cannot be the 8. This is. And now this cannot be the 9 that if it was to go this way, because we can touch diagonally, just not orthogonally, which is from the center. The sides diagonally is the corners. Color. Okay. So one of those is a 3. If it goes down, that's a 9. If it goes up, then it's one of those 2. What's after the 9? A 7 and the...
Oh. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong 9.
Yeah. I guess I wonder if we should pull this up and then focus on pi here. Alright, we have this
Just
3, this 4, this 6, 2, 4, 6, 4, 8, 3, 2. So that's where we're at now. So I need a 7 and then another 9. Well, if I went around this way, the 7 would have to be there, one of these 2. If I went around here, it couldn't come back down, so we would end up with 7s somewhere like this. Now...
Okay, well, if you go... Because it goes from 9 to 7 to 9, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, in box 5, if you look at those 7s, to go to 9s, it's going to be the same as when we started out. Those all see the 9.
Right. So this branch fails. So we get a 3. And 9 has to be one of these 2. Now, could it go this way? I'm pretty sure that...
It cannot, because it would have to slither back across itself.
Yeah, we've just got too many spaces, so that doesn't work. And I think the same thing, like, the maximum number of spaces we could get is 5. So that's not enough to get to the end. So this cannot be 7 either, because it wouldn't be able to go left, it would have to go right. And so if we go from here, this 7 would place the next 9 in the same box as this one, so that one doesn't work, and we get a 9 here. And again, 7 to 9 would break that one, so that's a 7. Can't go here or here, so we get a 9 there. And 7, 9, 7, and then we need an 8, which is going to be in one of those positions. This 8 sees that one, so we get here. 5. And then after 5 is 3 and 5. The only way that this one would work is to place a 3. But then we're going to have the same duplication of 5s. So that one doesn't work. This one, I guess this 3 sees that one. So if I were to go this way, then I could go down to a 5. If I were to go this way, then I could go to a 5 in either of those positions. Wait. Is it 5, 3, 5? Yeah, 5, 3, 5. Okay. Brain short-circuited there. But I couldn't go 5, 3, 5. So that one wouldn't work. So one of these two... but if I did 5, and then I showed that this was the only possible 3 from there, I can't go here, I can't go there, and I can't go there. So this 5 doesn't work, so that's 5. And then 5 to 3, I can't continue this way, I can't go up, so I'd have to go down. 5 to 3, I couldn't go up, I couldn't go right, I'd have to go down. And then 5 to 3 is going to be one of these two, but I see this dot here, so it must go here as the next 5. And then after 5, so we have 5, 3, 5.
It's going to have to be a 6. Oh, yeah. Well, I was looking at the crop readout. It couldn't be a 4. It had to be a 6. I forgot about the...
Yeah. Then we follow that with a 2, and clearly we can't go this way. There's a 2 there already, but we cannot connect orthogonally. And then if we were to go after the 2 is a 9, well, if I went to this 2, I'd have to go here, but then I would be stuck. I couldn't go up or down, and there's more digits. The ending is a 3. So this ends up being a 2. That's a 3. And then I said I needed a 9, which must be the next one. 2, 9, and then I need a 5, which must be one of these two. And then it would be 5.
1 after that.
Yeah. It's probably... Well, I guess there's nothing stopping me from going around this way. 9, 5, 1, 4. 5, 1, 4. Well, if I went down to a 1 here, then I couldn't go up.
Have to go. Yeah,
so
and then it would be another 1.
Ah,
and
right.
That would put 2 1s in the box.
5. 1, 4, 1 wouldn't work, so 1, 4, 1, 3. 3.1415.926. 535 897 323 8462 643. So that seems to be correct. And now we just fill in the grid. I mean, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the negative constraint, or the negative diagonal, finishes that. I need a 1 here. 2, 3, 4, 5 is going to be one of those two. 6, I guess 7 is going to pair with that. We're going to place a 9 here.
That's a 9 and 8 in the row. Might as well do row 8. Needs a 1, which is the center of the empties. And a 7 and an 8. I guess we don't know which was which.
Yeah. Row 5, I don't see a 2.
And 9.
And this 9 sees there. 5, 7, and 6. I guess I kind of want to place the digits that are left on the diagonal here. 9, 1, 7, 6, 3. This one's not a 4, not 2 or 8, not 4 or 5. I guess there was a part of me that was hoping that one of these would show up, but that's okay. Column 5. 2, 3,
7, 8.
7's already in here. Column 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. And that has to be a 3, 4 because I already have 1 and 6. These two have to be 4 and 5, and
8, 9. 9.
The button didn't press for some reason.
Oh.
It happens. I might have just simply pressed it wrong. Column 7, 3, 2, 6, 4, 7, 9, and 7. Then here, 8, 4, 6, and 3, 7, 9, 1, 5, and 7. I feel like I'm placing too many digits. Whatever. 1, 9, 3, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 8 pair. Like that in purple. I guess I shouldn't do it in purple because that contrasts with red too much. Blue. Or not contrasts, but doesn't contrast really. 1, 5, 9, 6, 2, 8, 7, 4, and 3. One, 3, 1, 3, 7, 9, 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 1, 4, 5, 9, 2, 8, 9, 2, 8, 9.
That just leaves 1 9 in the box, doesn't it? I heard a lot of 9s and saw a lot of 9s go away.
We can't place a 9 on the diagonal. And then this 9 will sit out of those two. Yeah, 9. A 38 cage. But 9s get rolled out of there. Well, 38 is 45 less 7. So
But it can bend.
yeah.
In fact, it's going to have to because there's not a 7 on the first cell there.
Well, it could be short.
Oh, this is true. 3 and 4.
In fact, it could even be short. It could just be all the way up to here. And you get a 1, 2, 4 grouping on the outside.
Yeah.
4 has to be one of these two. So then from here...
1 X-Wing for rows 1 and 2.
Okay. Oops. Because you have to have 1s in this 1-6 pair, and then none of these digits can be a 1 because of these 2 1s here and the 1 on the diagonal.
Yeah, or I guess it was row 3 that the 1 had to be in box 3. Would have been easier.
But I mean, I guess it depends on the logic that you see, because, I mean, you saw those before you saw that. But that gives us a 5-7 pair. 5 and 7. I'm going to take this stuff out. But the 5-7 pair actually places this 4 and this 5. Takes 5s out of those. This isn't a 4. This isn't 5 or 7. 5-7 pair here takes a 5 out. And then we know that this goes all the way to here, but it could bend downwards still. But if it if it did, but if it was this, it's clearly not going all the way to the end.
Right.
Because this isn't 7. And it can't be... and we know it goes to here. So if that was it, then this would be a 3-4 pair. That's the only option. Which I don't see a reason why that wouldn't work. 1829 quad 28346 triple which doesn't have impacts down here. Anyway, I was thinking about this 38. If it went down, then we've got 45 here less 38 means that these two combined are 7 more than this one. And they could be a 6-8, which is 14, which is 7 more than 7. And 5 plus 7 is 12, which is a 4-8. So I don't know if I can think about that at the moment, or more accurately, whether or not that's the direction to go at the moment. 1, 2, 4, 6. No, that's not enough. Two, 7, 8, 4. But the 4s here, never mind. I was going to say they form an X-wing, but that doesn't matter. There's already a 4 in here. If it ends here, this is 3 and 4. If it were to go, that would be a 4 and a 3. If it went down 1, then it would be 8 and 4 or 6. But how could this be a 2? Because this row is 45, and if I subtract the 38, which I know has to leave the last one, then these two must be 7 more than what's left over in here. And I don't think it can take both of these, because that would be minimum 8. And 8 and 7 is 15, but 6 and 8 is 14. But yeah, this can't be a 2. I don't know whether or not that was logic that had to be done, but 2, 8, and 9 end up being a triple now. Which I guess all you had to do was add this one, and that was a quad. But that places a 4 and a 5. And this is no longer a 4. 3, 6 pair places a 4. And now we know that this ends up being a 3, 6, 1, 6, 3, 3, 6. And this can't be 2 or 8 because of this stuff, so 7, 1, 6, 7, 5, 4, 3, this is a 4, that's a 6, those aren't 6s, 3, 4, not a 5, not a 6, coloring here doesn't really matter anymore.
Column 2, 2-8 pair.
2-8 pair places a
Leave
3. And then
2-8 pair in row 9. There's lots of stuff.
9, 8, and 2-8. So that's a 1 and a 5, not an 8. 2-7-8 is a 9, so not an 8. 8, 9, 2, 7, 5, 1, 8, 2, 2, 8, 6, 7, 5, 2, 7, 8, 2, 7, and 8. Yeah, we did it. Not sure if that helps. You can deduce the cage size. What digit is an 8 cell 3-8 cage missing? If it were 8 cells, that is. What I intended was that if the cage were to come down, it would be 8 cell cage, which needs to exclude the 7, but the 7 was placed into the cage in row 1 already. But you got around that deduction. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Where that would be the more intended direction. And I think if I think we got close just simply knowing that it I think the thing that I didn't consider with that was the size of the cage. I just simply was like, okay, it's a big cage, it's missing 7. But I didn't think that meant that it, or the implication that it would be missing the 7 inside of it, unless, I don't know, yeah.
Right, if it was an 8 cell cage.
Yeah. And what that meant for 7. I'm sure if that was necessary, we would have figured it out eventually. Because it's definitely a very, like, it's not as out there as the 3 from the instructions unclear. Although the instructions I thought were quite clear, just the solution path. But I'll leave that puzzle alone now. But yeah, all right. Do row 1. Four, 7, 1, 6, 8, 5, 9, 2, 3. Submit. And difficulty was I wouldn't say very easy because of some of the thinking that was involved with, like, the size of the cage and the digits that could be in the cage. I think the logic that I used was harder than necessary. But would you say easy or average, Mama?
Yes.
Um,
Pick one.
I guess when it comes to the logic about the values that are in the cage, I think I'm going to say average because there was a couple of different things that added to the complexity. Having to consider all of the options for the digits of pi and how that mapped things out, while not necessarily
Difficult.
Not tremendously difficult, does require some fiddly thinking, and like, okay, if this is this, then where does that follow? I mean, that's just how logic is. And then you add on top of that the stuff, the 38 cage on the top. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I think I'm going to put average for the difficulty. But I enjoyed this puzzle. I think it was very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that. Yeah. I don't remember if that was 3 stars already, but yeah. Okay, if it originally, Tolrak says originally it wasn't meant as a fog puzzle. So yeah, I can definitely see how that might increase the difficulty a little bit, because the 38 cage does require thinking about the possibilities of that. But when I realized what the starting grid looks like, I had to make it into one. Yeah. I really like the Fog of War puzzles. Mom, I know you really like those as well.
Yeah.
And I think Elatron stopped by and said that they liked setting them. I think they'd set 1 or 2, maybe. They only have a few puzzles on Logic Masters Germany. But Just X is the only visible clue was funny to me. I can see how that would be an interesting start, because it definitely it's definitely interesting how you can start a puzzle with such minimal information, and how it leads to the solution with no global rules. I guess I'm not certain exactly what you mean by with no global rules. Like, are you saying stuff like anti-knight or anti-king or such like that? It doesn't seem like you could do anything with it, and Bremster certainly struggled. I didn't post. Yeah, like Miracle Puzzle. Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see how it would be like a bit of a struggle, but I mean, with it only having like 2 options, like the fact that it goes 4-6-2-4, or excuse me, 4-6-2-6-4 does sort of lead to like the correct way to think about it. I just sort of stared blankly at it for a little bit to try and I don't know. I guess let the mush squish around. I don't know. Yeah, like Miracle Puzzles that have a few digits in the grid and anti-knight, anti-king, or whatever have you, or what have you. Yeah. The Miracle Puzzles are always very interesting. It's when I first started watching Cracking the Cryptic, it was very interesting how the how often we ended up with rules that had few clues in the grid, and it was just sort of like I think the thing that put Cracking the Cryptic into my algorithm was probably the one of the first miracle Sudoku puzzles that they had, and it's just sort of like a Sudoku with 4 given digits or something, and then eventually it was 2, and then 0, and then yeah. Anyway, Torok said Bremster did a video solve, and it took him a while to start looking at palindromes and find that the 6 needed to repeat. He was very upset that the puzzle was forwarded to him because he didn't think it was logical. I mean, I guess I'm not certain where the failure of logic is. Um, so the the fact that it has to go 626, once it was pointed out that it was a palindrome there, because I did see that in the chat, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned it at the time that I read that. That's sort of like the only direction to be able to go from there. I mean, you had to sift through the 4-6. You had to sift through the options just to find what the 10 could be to begin with. So I don't know. I don't know how much of that is because I haven't watched Bremster Puzzles solves that I guess maybe at all. I'm not sure. I don't know. Else it could have taken a while. Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, it's always like just how much time something takes isn't necessarily proportional to the difficulty. Because just because something is difficult doesn't mean it's always going to take a long time. And just because something is easy doesn't mean it's always going to take a long time, because one, brains are weird and we think through problems differently. Even thinking through the same problem, you don't always think through it the exact same way every time. So
It
I don't
depends
know
on what jumps out at your.
exactly. Because like I don't know, like all of the things that I've learned about stuff like optical illusions and the way our brains like toss out like 95% or some significant portion of the information that we see in order to be able to process the world in a reasonable amount of time. And then just how like any amount of like tiredness or like whether or not you've eaten or other activities that you've done, I don't know,
Or overheated.
yeah, or cold. Like there's a reason I have a blanket around me. The AC in my room or in this room keeps it quite chilly. But if that AC was not on, I would be melting. It is.
Yeah, if I get overly warm, written things just become weird squiggles that take a little bit to resolve into something logical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, we said we only had 20 minutes 40 minutes ago. So I think it's probably best that we wrap up here. Go ahead and switch over to the talking screen. And yeah. Any commentary over any over the two puzzles we solved today, Mama? Just in case we missed it.
I thought we did a third.
No, with the first one,
It took all the whole.
yeah,
it took all but 20.
yeah, we did instructions unclear that took us 86, 87 minutes, and then Pie Snake in the Fog. But yeah, I don't know.
Yes, I can't count to 2.
Yeah, it is the time of nap. So, all right. I guess upcoming, or because I don't have any other commentary on the puzzles. So upcoming things on stream will be Horizon Zero Dawn, which I'll probably be playing later tonight, because as exhausted as I am, I probably still won't be able to sleep. Then we've got Project Zomboid on Thursday night, although it's after midnight, so technically it's Friday morning. Although it does depend on your time zone, so make sure to pay attention to the time that's listed on YouTube if you're wanting to catch that live. That is also on Friday at the same time. But I guess technically it's Saturday. Depends. Pay attention to what YouTube says when that's happening. The Horizon Zero Dawn streams are just whenever I feel like it. They're not scheduled ahead of time. And then we'll be back next week for more Sudoku at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on both Monday and Tuesday. But yeah. All right. Anyone who watches this, or people who are in Tool Rack, and anyone else who watched the stream live, thank you for watching. Anyone who watches this later, thank you for watching as well. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Those are all of the things you have to do. Those are requirements in order to solve the Sudoku of YouTube. And then share the video. Sharing is really important. Sharing is caring. Yeah. All right. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.